Expert CPM Gantt chart using Sparkline in Google Sheets. Our project starts today. And our ID will be equal to sequence count A of the task. And our predecessor will be data validation over the ID range and save. Let's say there are 5 men per task that we can assign. So data validation, list of items, paste. So we can assign 5 men per task. And there are 3 shifts in a day. So data validation, list of items, 3 shifts in a day. So there are 3 shifts in a day. So we can assign 3 shifts per task. So the start day will be equal to ifs the predecessor is equal to empty. Then it's empty. The predecessor equals the ID, then 0 because there is no predecessor. A task has no predecessor. If the predecessor is greater than 0, then look up. Look up the predecessor in the task ID or the ID, the entire ID column. So we lock the reference and enter the end date. So we have the end date, the entire end date column, and we also lock the reference in the lookup. Enter. So that's the formula of our start date. Now we go to the duration. So array formula, that is the number of man hours divided by the quantity 8 times the number of 8-hour shifts times the number of men. Enter. So we have an equation here. So if condition equals empty, then empty. So if the man hours is empty, then it's empty. Otherwise, calculate. Now it's corrected. Now we go to the ending, which is equal to array formula, the start day plus the ending. Enter. So we enter the condition if equals 0, 0, then empty. Otherwise, copy, paste, enter. Now it's corrected. So let's say we have 1 man per shift and 1 shift per day. That's our default. So we copy that. And let's say task 1 has no predecessor. I mean, it's the first task, so it precedes itself. Task 2 follows task 1. And task 3 follows task 2. Now here we drag this downwards. So that's the end date of task 2, start date of task 3. Next, we continue with the timeline, which is equal to if the predecessor is empty, then empty. Otherwise, sparkline. Sparkline of the first two, the start and the duration. Cover bracket. The chart type will be bar. And the color one will be white. And the maximum will be the maximum of the end date. But we're dragging this formula downwards, so we lock the reference and we refer it to the entire end date column. Then enter. So we haven't closed the curly bracket. So we close the curly bracket and we drag this downwards. So we have task 2 following task 1 and task 3 following task 2. Now we continue with the start date of each task. So array formula, the start date plus this one. Enter. So if we have the condition here, if empty, then empty. So if h3 to h10 is empty, then it's empty. That is if h3 h10 is empty. If h3 to h10 is empty, then it's empty. Otherwise, calculate. Then enter. Now it's corrected. Do the same thing for the end date, which is equal to array formula. The start date plus the end date. And enter. We'll have the same condition. So if so the condition would be if J3 to J10 is empty. Then empty. Now it's corrected. And finally, the project end date, which is equal to maximum of this. So the end date is May 26, 2021. Let's say I'd like to expand this, add 3 more projects or 3 more tasks. Insert above. Let's say I'll add 3 more tasks. And let's say task 4 requires 400, task 5 requires 600, and task 6 requires 700. So, and our default will be 1 man per task and 1 shift per day. And let's say task 3 follows. So we can expand this. We can drag this downward. So we'll drag this downward. And we'll drag this downward. So task 4 follows task 3. And task 3 follows task 5 follows task 4. And task 6 follows task 5. And we drag this downwards. And we'll drag this downwards. So the project end date is December 24, 2021. Let's say I would like to add some more. I'd like to add 3 more. So we'll add 3 more. Task 7 requires 400 man hours. Task 8 requires 500 man hours. And task 9 requires 200 man hours. And again, let's have our default for now. 1 man per task and 1 shift per day. And we'll drag this downward. And we'll drag this downwards. Let's say task 7 follows task 6, and task 8 follows task 7, and task 9 follows task 8. And we'll drag this downwards to refresh, and we'll drag this downwards to refresh. I would like to make some changes. I want task 5 to start today. We can do that. There's no predecessor. And we'll drag this downwards, and we'll drag this downwards. So our project end date is October 23, 2021. I want to make some changes. I want this to have 2 shifts and 2 men per shift. So we'll drag this, drag this downwards, and we'll drag this also downwards. Estimated end date now is August 18, 2021. I'll make this 3 men and 2 shifts. So drag this downwards, and I'll drag this downwards. Now our project end date is, we'll try it again, July 15, 2021. I want this to have 2 men, and I want 3 shifts or 2 shifts. So I'll drag this downwards, and I'll drag this downwards. I want this to start on after 6. So I want task 3 to follow 6. Change it. Then drag this downwards, and drag this downwards. Our project end date now is June 16, 2021. This completes the use of PERT, this Google Sheet Sparkline, COUNTA, maximum, and array formula to calculate the expandable PERT CPM Gantt chart using Google Sheets.